Hi, this is Susan. Did you ever wonder what you're passionate about or what you're really good at or what you really enjoy? Well, in this interview with an electrical engineer, I'm going to explain to you how Artie found his passion in the most practical way. And as you're listening to the interview, I'm going to stop the audio and kind of give you a review of what he's saying so that you can really apply it to your own life. So if you really listen to this interview and more than once, I promise you it's going to be life-changing as you apply these principles to your own life and your own career. So I'm going to start the interview, and again, it's his name is Artie, and he's an electrical engineer, and he's going to go over a brief interview of his career, and then we're going to go through how he got there and what lessons he learned along the way.
As a child, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I was very fortunate to have wonderful parents who taught me values about the importance of education and hard work. My mother was a school teacher. My father was a blue-collar machinist, but they always valued learning, growing, and trying new things, and that kind of set me up then for my education, which was Brooklyn Technical High School. And my older brothers were electrical engineers, so I moved forward to become a university student as an electrical engineer, basically not knowing what it was other than that my brothers did it, and that's what I was going to be when I grew up.
Okay, so you hear what he said? He'd really, his brothers went to school for electrical engineering, so he did, without knowing really anything about it, okay? So listen up, because a lot of people do this. They go into a career and they really, don't know anything about it.
So I went off to Syracuse University, picked that university because they had a gymnastics team and I was active in gymnastics. And by my senior year, I had discovered that I really didn't like much about electrical engineering, but I was so close to finishing, I better get my degree. And in my prior to senior year, my summer school, summertime opportunity to get a summer job, I wanted to have priorities of working out with the gymnastics team during the off-season period so I could be better. I was elected captain of the team, and wanted to be ready for the senior year of competition. And my girlfriend at the time lived not too far, since Syracuse was way from New York City. I'd rather stay closer to my girlfriend than go back to Brooklyn. And that girlfriend became my wife of now more than 40 years of happy marriage. But the point being that during that summer break, I got a job in a local place just so I could stay near campus, and it happened to be a chemical plant. And working as an electrical engineer in a big industrial chemical plant, I loved it. And when I went to graduate, I interviewed at several places, and they offered me a good job. I went to work for them, and that became the beginning of a 40-year career that started as an entry-level engineer, and then I went for a master's in engineering administration in night school for 3 years, and became a plant manager at several plants around the country. I changed companies only once in my career of 40 years, 12 with Allied Chemical, 28 with Occidental Chemical. And with Occidental Chemical, I continued plant managing, and then mid-career became a business manager. I was a vice president and a senior vice president with businesses around the world, and then finished my career as a general manager in our operations in South America, living in Santiago, Chile for almost 10 years before retiring in 2008, and then after retirement, writing one and then a second book since then. So that's kind of the thumbnail of a 40-year career plus.
Okay, so Artie gave a brief interview of himself and his career, and now we're going to really break it down and kind of go into the details, how he got there, what made him successful. But the first thing I want you to remember is he said that he got a job in a chemical plant as an electrical engineer, because this is going to play an important role in his success. So listen as he explains. Because remember, he said, I wasn't really, that interested in being an electrical engineer. But he said, I was so close to getting my degree, I got it anyway. Okay, so this is really an important fact because a lot of people go to school for one degree, but it doesn't end up being the job that they do in their career. Okay, so this is important to listen to.
Right. Now, were you an electrical engineer or a chemical engineer?
Electrical. That's why I was kind of an oddball. The chemical company was a big operation, over a couple thousand people, and they had what you might visualize as a city. It had its own power generation station, which is why we needed electrical engineers there. They had 8 coal-fired steam turbine generators making their own electricity with thousands of motors and substations, just like a city. So they hired young engineers as summer interns and professional engineers after graduation to be doing design work, engineering work for instruments and controls. You know, a chemical plant is much like flying an airplane. A lot of it is automated with a lot of sophisticated instrumentation and controls. That's what electrical engineers get involved in. But I got involved early on with the construction side of the business, working with the people who did maintenance and construction and leading crews and then leading departments. And then all of that administrative stuff became fun for me. I really liked getting teams going and setting new records and stuff like that, rather than necessarily designing a better circuit.
Okay, so you see what he said there? Because it was a chemical engineering company and not an electrical engineering company, he had the opportunity to do things he wouldn't have had in another company. So you see the things he got involved with? They really had nothing to do with what his degree was in. But he had the opportunity to get involved in it, and you see he went to school for his master's in management, and he realized that's what he was better at. Now remember, he was captain of the gymnastics team, so he was already a leader. All right, he was good at helping people, breaking things down, helping them improve. So when he had this opportunity, he said, even though it wasn't in my background, what did he say he did? He learned from other people. But he said it catered to what he was good at, and that was, doing the leadership role, involved in the management end of the business. He wasn't designing boards or whatever. He said he wasn't really good at that. But he found something that he was good at within the company, and that allowed him to really get in touch with what he was good at, what he enjoyed. You see what he keeps using? I enjoyed it. I wanted to learn it. So ask yourself, are you in a job where you're good at it and that you enjoy it and that you really want to excel in it? All right, so now he's going to go further into his story.
I see. But that's what you were trained to do.
Yeah, in the university level of electrical engineering, they're teaching you the physics and science of what makes electrical devices work. When I was going to college, they were just developing things like transistors. Before that, it was the old vacuum tubes that looked like light bulbs inside big old radios. Well, in the early 60s is when things like transistors were coming out, these solid-state devices, and electrical engineers were learning how to design them, build them, use them, and a lot of theory, a lot of math, a lot of calculations. You're not necessarily learning any one thing. You're learning a whole bag of tools that as an engineer you can solve problems in a scientific way, in this case in an electrical field. So that was what I was trained in. I had no training at all in industrial manufacturing, construction, maintenance. That was all new to me. But it was.
Do you hear what he said? He talked about what he learned in college, and you hear his voice. But then he said he had the opportunity to learn about all these other things involving construction. Do you hear the tone of his voice? How it just rises? That's one thing as a coach that I look for. That voice inflection. Did you feel the excitement in his voice when he talked about it? So listen to what he says next.
So I enjoyed it.
You learned that on the job then, Artie?
Yeah, you learn that on the job. One of the things that I think is important no matter what career you're in, it's the ability to learn things fast and the ability to do whatever you do with intensity and excellence. If you just kind of going along for the ride and doing ho-hum work, your career's going to be ho-hum. But if you...
Do you hear what he says there? If you really enjoy something and you really want to be good at it, you really want to improve, that's what's important in a career. Because what you learn in college, it'll help you, but the thing is, you're constantly learning. So you have to enjoy that learning. And that's what he talks about.
Get involved in it, get engaged in the details, learn from those who are around you, listen to the experts. I mean, I came in young, bottom of the totem pole, but I always respected the wisdom of the elders, let's call it. And I would spend time listening and looking and watching and asking. I was curious.
See what he said? See that word? Curious. He would ask, he would learn, but he had an opportunity to learn from other people. Not everybody has a company where you have that opportunity to work with other people, to learn from other people. So that's important to understand. Again, the type of company you work for, the size of the company. Like he was in a big enough company where he had that opportunity and there were people he could learn from. So those are the important things to learn, is that it's not only do you have to be curious, you have to be surrounded by other people who are willing to share that information. And that's an important thing to remember. And that's why the type of company you work for is so important, the type of company culture.
And I enjoyed learning, continuous learning. I still read books on management today. I mean, I'm out of the business other than coaching others, but I like to learn. And in a new job, all of it that I needed for my new job was basically learned by people around me, because they don't teach the kind of stuff I had to do in an industrial chemical complex as an electrical engineer in the university setting.
You hear what he said? Everything he needed to learn for his job is not something you learn in school. Okay, so that's what I want people to understand. There are certain jobs that, what your degree you get is really important. But for most jobs, it's a lot of, on-the-job training, learning from other people, and really seeing what you're good at. So that's the important thing to understand. A lot of what you do is going to be different than what you learn in school, but it has to be something that caters to your natural abilities, and it's something that you enjoy. Like most people in a job, it's not necessarily something they learned in school, but they may not enjoy it. So that's the important thing to understand. He was enjoying it.
Right, they're more interested in theory, but you were really involved in the practical end of it.
Yeah, practical application. And that's probably true of most people when they get out of school, particularly from technical degrees. You get a lot of the theory and you have to learn how to solve problems. You're learning skills in college that have to do basically with persistence, dedication to task, attention to detail, and knowing how to analyze and solve problems. When you get into the paying world, where you're now working for a job, it's those same skills, but you're picking up clues from the kinds of challenges that are around you, and you're learning from the kinds of people who are around you.
Right. Now, if you were to, again, kind of bring me up to date on where you are now, tell me about what you're really passionate about and what abilities you need to be able to carry out that passion. Like somebody could say, I'm passionate about music, but they can't carry a tune. So what are you passionate about that you realize, oh my God, I really have this skill. I'm really good at this compared to other people. I can excel at it that maybe, when you were, 19, you didn't know you had that ability, or maybe you did and you never understood how to turn it into a career.
Yeah. Well,
so talk to me about what makes you, what your talents are.
Okay, well, we'll
Okay, so this is important. This where Artie is going to do a little self-reflection to really talk to you about why he's good at what he does. So this is important, so listen to this.
Start the answer to your question from where I am now, which is the way you began the question, and I'll back it into how those same skills I'm using now ultimately were also what helped me to be successful in the jobs I've had before. As I mentioned, I'm retired, so what I'm doing now is I'm coaching, mentoring, counseling, career counseling, others. What I'm passionate about is helping others. I think my mother being a school teacher and my father being also very good at helping to teach us as kids and as young adults. I was brought up in an environment where I had excellent models for how to teach.
Now you see what he said? He had excellent models, but he also was able to do it himself. So having role models isn't enough. It has to be something that you say you see in others and then you want to do it yourself. So that's what's really important. He saw it and he said, oh, I could do this too. Okay, that's what's important.
My parents taught me well, and taught my brothers well. And I think I naturally became good at teaching others things. Even as a gymnast, you tend to teach your classmates and your teammates. And I found great joy in that, and I still do today. So
you see what he said? He found great joy in it. That is what's really important. Not only was he good at it, but he found joy in it, okay? There has to be some sense of what's in it for me, some sense of, okay, yeah, I get enjoyment out of this. So you need both. You need to be good at it and you need to find joy in it.
The short answer for what I'm passionate about is helping others. What I'm good at is being effective at teaching others. And how am I effective at teaching others? I think it's a combination of things. One is the ability to see the next step in the learning process that's critical to progress. You can't drink from a fire hose. If you're a teacher, you have to selectively pick what's the next most important thing to teach the student so that they will learn the task, incrementally progress, and get a sense of positive reinforcement so they want to learn more and they want to keep at it. And I think I've learned how to do that well, both through the coaching I had with good models and with the trial and error that comes with life as a young athlete teaching others, as a team captain in high school, as a team captain in college, as a department head in my early career, as a plant manager later in my career, as a vice president later in my career, as a senior vice president later in my career. My role was always being a change maker. That's what leaders are. Captains of gymnastics teams and in effect, captains of corporations are people who can implement change. And in order to be a change maker, you have to inspire those who are working with you and for you to want to change.
Okay, so there I want to talk to you about personality types. I'm really big on personality types. And if you read the description of a leader, that's what it says. They inspire other people. They bring out the best in others. So that's a personality type that already had. And so that's another thing to understand. That's the role of a leader. Someone to inspire people, to bring out the best in them, and to follow their vision. Okay, that's a personality type.
They need to be able to be seeing the vision that you see, seeing the passion that you see,
right?
Seeing the reason to sacrifice short term in order to benefit long term. And
now you see the words that he used? Vision. Okay? They have to see your vision. They have to feel your passion. And then they have to be inspired to want to follow you. And those are the qualities of a good leader.
These are the things that excite me. And, you know, as I'm talking to you right now,
listen
Susan,
to this.
I'm getting goosebumps just not because I'm listening to myself saying, oh boy, I'm happy to listen to myself, but visualizing the flavor of sharing, teaching, coaching to success gives me goosebumps. and I love it, and I love doing it, and particularly it becomes self-reinforcing to me when I see the results. You go through the life cycle as a young gymnast teaching somebody how to do a flip. Yeah. It's a great feeling when all of a sudden you've gotten them over the fear of leaving this good earth and putting their neck and their head at great risk, and all of a sudden gaining self-confidence, vaulting into the air, flipping upside down, and landing back on their feet safely, at first with a spot, with help, with coaching. And then eventually, as a coach, you back off, and you let that gymnast do it on their own. That's a great joy for a coach. And I've had that joy early in my life, and that reinforcing behavior for me became something I wanted to keep doing because it feels good and it works. So then as a department head,
you see what he said? It feels good and it works. Okay, so once again, they work together, and that's what's important to understand. You enjoy it and you see the benefits of it.
I had different challenges. I had challenges like all of us do when in any job. Limited resources, not enough money, a budget not good enough, crazy politics that may be going on in any corporation or department. And how do you overcome those challenges? How do you keep your people motivated? How do you keep them from grumping and moaning about whatever's bad today and instead focus on what do we got to do to make our life better? Now, again, Susan, maybe I'm talking too much. I didn't give you
No, I love it. No, keep going.
But basically, I'm passionate about helping and making change happen for the better in the lives of others. I get great satisfaction when I can see that happen through the coaching I provide. My coaching has refined itself over 4 decades of a career plus some to learn how to focus on those next incremental skills that will help somebody feel a sense of success and self-motivate to keep working at it. Any change requires sacrifice. It requires going through a zone of discomfort to get into a zone of excellence. And a good coach knows how to bring someone through those transitions in their lives and in their feelings and in their frustrations so that they too can feel the success, see the change, and have that sense of reward. And whether I'm coaching 50-year-old people who have been out of a job for a year, that's what I'm doing now as pro bono work,
okay,
and helping them to realize what they need to do different in the way they prepare for interviews from home.
You see what he said? I help people see what they have to do differently. Listen to Artie's words again and over because they are so powerful, so full of wisdom, and you could hear the joy that he has in his voice for overcoming things and helping people achieve their goals. Just listen to his words over and over and over again. And I'm telling you, you will just learn so much from listening to this interview.
What they do different when they're face-to-face in the interview, how they write a resume so that it's effective and gets picked and that they get called in to come and do an interview. When I coach them to success, and in some cases as quick as 24 hours after I've talked to people, their lives have turned around because all of a sudden they got it. And then they get the acceptance they were looking for. And, later, if you want, I can get into more anecdotal, real-life stories of that. But that is it's a shot in the arm for me. And, of course, they feel good about themselves. And for me to be part of that process, as you see, I could talk for hours on this. I just love it. And it's so satisfying and so rewarding.
Now, when you talked about...
So I'm going to end the interview here because I think these points that he made are so important. Okay? He found joy in it. He was good at it. He was able to do it. So he recognized that he had the ability to teach people, but to solve problems, to help people improve and see the satisfaction he got from it. That is just so, so important. So again, listen to this interview over and over and over again because you're going to learn more each time you listen to it. But it's something all of us could follow. So anyway, I want you to just understand that being a leader, Again, it's personal, but the qualities of leadership, if you listen to my personality types, are what Artie is saying. He's able to inspire other people, get them to follow a vision, get them to find satisfaction in improving. This is all important. So anyway, ask yourself, are you in a career where you feel your talents are being used, plus you feel the satisfaction from it? So again, I hope you enjoyed this interview. Comment below, like the video, and let me know what you learned from it, if you'd like more videos like this, and share it with other people that you think could benefit it from. So, okay, and I'll see you in the next video.